Welcome back to another video. In this video we are going to study combined publisher. So in the previous video we studied subscriber in combine, and in this video we are going to explore different publisher provided to us by the combine framework. So we already know that publisher provides data when the data is of course available and when the data is requested by the subscriber. So let's see how we can work with all these types of publishers. So first make sure that you are in a separate file. So I already created combined publisher playground, and then make sure to import combined framework, and then let's just go ahead and create a separate class, name it as combined maybe publisher learning. And yeah, so we are going to actually conform to observable object, but it's not really a requirement in here. We just want to make sure that we can when we run this SwiftUI view, we want to run the code inside this class. So that's the only thing. You can actually create a separate playground in a playground that's not a SwiftUI view, because in this video we are mostly going to work with the code and not the UI stuff. So but still, if you want to follow me, that's fine. We can maybe create combine learning or something, and then just create combine learning, yeah, publisher learning. So now we have our state object. So now the code inside this class will be executed, and we can of course see our print statement on the console or something. So we have the publisher listed in here that we are going to explore, and how um, we are going to learn how we can work with them. So the first publisher we have is just, and it provides a single value and then it completes itself. So it's a very simple publisher in combine. Let's see how we can create it. So I'm going to write just and a comment in here, and then we can create just publisher, and then type just, and you can see we have this initializer that accepts any output. So you can write maybe like string in here, that's fine. So let's just see hello world, and we can actually create another just publisher. Let's name it as 2, and this time we are going to return 10 as an output, which is of course an integer. So if you check the type for them, we have this just publisher, and the output in here is string, and then we have another just publisher and the output in here is int. So this is how simple it is to create this just publisher. And of course, if you want to observe the value, that's fine. So we can go ahead and create a sync, or attach a subscriber with this just publisher. So I'm going ahead and using sync, and I'm going to use the completion version this time, because I want to print on the console when this just publisher has completed. So we can see just publisher completed, and once we have the value from the publisher, we can also print the value, and yeah, just print out the value. Sorry, not the publisher but the value. So now we have attached subscriber. Let's just name it as just. So we have a subscriber with our publisher, but we actually need to store the results somewhere. So let's just go ahead and create maybe cancelable sets in here, set of type any cancelable, and then we can simply go ahead and dot store in cancelable. So yeah, so this is how simple it is to create a just publisher and attach a subscriber to it. So the next publisher we have is future. So what it does, it actually provides you either an output or failure. So it's a closure that resolves to either so you are going to get a success case, an output, or a failure case, an error. And let's see how we can create it. So you can go ahead and write future in here. So let's see future publisher, and then if you type future, first we have to provide the output value. So let's just say it's this future is going to return an integer, and then we have to mention the or specify the failure. So for the failure we want to uh, write never, because we are not interested in the failure in here. So let's just see, and then of course we have to list the argument in here. So yeah, and then let's just say we want to maybe return uh, random int after 2 seconds. So if we want to include a delay, of course we have to use async offer from the dispatch queue, and the deadline will be now plus 2, and then we can use this promise parameter or argument that we have in here, and then we can use either dot failure or success. But we know that this feature is not going to fail because it's the return type, or sorry, the failure type in here is never. So it's only the success that we have to uh, you know work with. So we can just return a random int from maybe 10 to 50. This is the range. And yeah, so now if you want to check the type for this, you can check. We have a future publisher that has an integer as an output, and never as what can I say, for the failure. So just like we attached a subscriber to the just publisher, you can attach a subscriber to this future publisher as well, and that's fine. And there is one more thing I am actually interested in here is to we want to maybe write a print statement in here that says future publisher started processing or something, you can say. So yeah, and this is actually important to know, because as soon as you write this future publisher, even it doesn't have any subscriber, it's going to run this block. So it's going to execute the code inside the future publisher, even though it doesn't have any subscriber right now. But this next publisher that we have is called defer. What it does, it actually wraps the creation of any publisher, and then after wrapping, it only creates it when the subscriber is present. So for example, we have this defer. So let's just say uh, defer publisher, and then we can wrap any publisher inside this defer. So I'm going to wrap this future in here. Sorry, this has to be like this. And yeah, so now we have our publisher, and if you want to see, you can check the type. It has defer, and then further it's wrapping a future publisher. It can wrap a just publisher, it can wrap the empty or sequence or any other publisher, because it's fine. And one thing to notice in here, when you are going to run this code, or when you're going to run this view in your simulator or real device, you will notice that you have this print statement on the console that says the future publisher started processing, even though it has no subscriber as of now. But if on this same hand we have the same code in here, it's the same future block that is in here, but it's not going to run it. And this is because this is one of the property of defer, that it only starts only creates the publisher when it actually has a subscriber. So even though we have the same code in here, it's the same feature that's in here, but you are not going to see this statement printed out. And this is because the defer only works, or the defer only creates the publisher when there is actually a subscriber. So this is one of the key difference. And yeah, and then we have any publisher. So what it does, it has an output and of course a failure. So publisher itself is a protocol, and any publisher on the other hand is actually an implementation of that protocol. So it doesn't have any property of its own. Instead, it forwards everything from the from the publisher, that's from the upstream publisher. Okay, so to expose an instance of any publisher to a downstream subscriber, we can utilize erase to any publisher method. So let's see, for example, we have this, let's just see any pub. So let's just say any publisher, and we just have maybe a just publisher. That's actually maybe returning an integer. You can say just pub inside, or we can say any publisher or something like this. So we have this string in here, doesn't matter, you can write anything, that's fine. And then right now if you take the type for this any publisher, it's actually just. Okay, so we know because it's a just publisher, so the type is just publisher. And but if I'm going to use erase to any publisher, now if I check the type for this, you can see we have any publisher, which actually further wraps in the output block, it wraps the string, um, the string from the just publisher. And in the failure block, it actually have the, because we haven't mentioned any error in here or something, so it's just using the default thing for that. But it does have a failure, it has an output, and it has a failure. So further going on further, I'm going to explain it with the help of another example. But for now, just uh, you just need to understand that you can wrap, you can hide the details of any publisher using this erase any publisher. Okay, so let's go ahead and see. We have the next publisher, which is called empty. So empty actually is, it's not going to return you any value, any output. It is only used to notify the task completion. So it only it has this task completion inside, but it doesn't provide any value. And if you want, you can actually make this publisher to never return any value and never finish by using this initializer that actually accept a value complete immediately, and you can make it as false, and now it's going on forever. It's not going to end, and it's not going to return you any value. So let's see how we can create an empty publisher. We can go ahead and create empty publisher, and let's just see empty, and then of course we have to specify the output, but we know that this is not going to return any output, so we can use any in here. And for the error, let's just use never, because we know that this is not going to return anything. So, and then we can just simply create it. We just created our empty publisher, and if you want to check the type, you can check the type. Of course, it's an empty publisher, and the output is any, and the failure is never, but it's not going to fail. It's just going to complete itself. So it's not going to return you any value. It is just going to complete. So if you want, you can attach it with a subscriber and observe this, the print statement in the console. And then we have the sequence publisher. We have previously worked with it, so it's very simple. You can use any any sequence with this publisher, like 1 2 3 4, and then just use simply publisher, and now we have our sequence publisher. So we, in the previous video, we actually worked with it. And then we have this fail publisher that immediately terminates publishing with a specified error. So yeah, there can be cases when you just during the processing, or have a function or something, that if you found like it's going, if there is some issue, you can just immediately terminate the execution using this fail publisher. And let's just see how we can create it. So fail pub equals to fail, and then of course we have to mention the error that with which it's going to fail. So we can create our own custom error in here. Let's just see, it's sorry, let's just create a struct in here, and this has a message of type string. And then let's just conform this custom error to localized error, and then we can use the description in here. We can let the description know that use this message as a description. So now we have our custom error, so we can go ahead and create our custom error and write the message, and we can say that this is demo or the demonstration of fail publisher or something. So just like that, we have our publisher in here, and there is something it says we need to fix. Oh, sorry, we have actually need to mention the output in here as well, but of course it's not going to return any value. It's always going to return as an error. So if you want to check the type, you can of course check the type in here. And yeah, so there is another let's just try to understand with another example. Let's just see we have this fail and any publisher combined or something, and then we just use this random boolean. So if let's just say we are going to use a ternary statement in here that checks if this bool is true. If bool dot random returns as true, in case of true, let's just maybe use yeah, just publisher, and then says bool is true or something. And then in case of if it's false, then we can go ahead and maybe throw an error or something. So we can go ahead and create fail error in here, and this time we can say maybe bool is false or something. So this is how you can utilize this fail, but of course this is not going to work as we expected, and this is because these two are very different types. This is a just publisher and this is a fail publisher, so we cannot use it as a statement in here. So what we need to do is we need to wrap both of them in using this arrays to any publisher, and then we can go ahead and use that arrays to any publisher in here as well. So we will still have some issue in here that says cannot connect to expected argument type never, and this is because this just does not have any error type, because we know that the just only have a value or the output, and it does not have any error type. So if you want to see, you can go ahead and check the type for it, and you can see it doesn't have any error. So we actually need to let this just know that you can have an error. It's fine. So we can go ahead and use dot set failure type. This is available to us. We can mention the failure type in here, and then let's just try to use error self. So let this just know that it can have or it has a failure, and does not conform to argument type error. Okay, I think we may have to this is because we are directly using string in here, and that's not the right way to use it. We need to use our custom error message. Sorry, I was under the impression that I am using this, but of course I wasn't using it, so we have to use custom error in here. And now I think our issue is resolved. And now if you check the type for your publisher, you can see we have either a string. Okay, so because of the just publisher, if the boolean the random bool is true, then we are going to get a string which says bool is true. And if the of course the random boolean is not true, if it's false, then we are going to get this fail publisher, and it has of course an error, so that's why we are seeing an error in here. So this is another use case for the any publisher, where if you are returning multiple, or you have a function and then explorer has multiple uh, publisher inside, that you can return maybe a failed publisher in case of failure, and then like we have a just publisher or future publisher or any other. So if you want to make sure that you can return, depending on the use case, you can just use this arrays to any publisher. So the next publisher we have is record. So what it does, it actually records a series of input and completion, and then later on you can attach a subscriber, and then it will provide all those inputs and completion to the subscriber. So let's see how we can create it. We can go ahead and try to maybe first just have a comment, and then let's just maybe name it as record publisher, and then we can go ahead and create it. Of course, we have to first mention the output. So for the output we are going to use string, and for the error we are going to use never, and then we need to list the argument in here, so we can use recording, and then we can use this record dot receive to actually provide our input, or we can use this completion to actually either completed or finished. So if you have maybe an error, we have mentioned an error in here. Right now in our case we don't have any error, but since it depends on your use case, if you have an error you can of course use failure, but we don't have it, so we are only going to use finish in here to let the subscriber know that this publisher is completed. So we can also input values before completing it. So we can record values by using this receive, maybe of 2 of maybe 3 or something. It's just so you can use it with depending on, you can modify it on your use case. So this is how we can use this record publisher, and then you can attach a subscriber, and it's going to provide you all the series of inputs, and then of course either a completion for the failed or success case. So this is how easy to use this record publisher. And then we have @publish property wrapper. So what it does, it converts any property into publisher so that you can attach a subscriber to it. For example, we have this username, and maybe we this is from the text field or something, and then if you want to observe it, or sorry, if you want to attach a subscriber to it, you can just use @published. And now by mentioning this, or by attaching this property wrapper to this property, we can go ahead and use $, of course, and then type our username, and then we can attach a subscriber with this property, and we can actually observe it. Let's just store it in cancellables, and you can use print statement in here. Maybe that says username and the value it has received. So this is how simple is it. So I think we have covered almost all the publisher, but still, if you have any question in mind, you can let me know in the comment, and I will try to explain it. That's it from me for this video. If you have anything, do let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.